Hey runners, are you ready to set those 2022 running goals and actually follow through and do what you say you're going to do? In this video, I'm sharing my top 5 tips that will allow you to reach those goals you've been wanting to achieve along your running journey. So I kind of can't believe it, but 2022 is upon us, which means it's the perfect time to start nailing down those running goals that you want to achieve this year. So whether that's getting a PR in a certain race or getting a Boston qualifying time or simply to run more miles than you did last year, you can't just want the goal. It's not enough, right? You actually have to decide how you're going to achieve these goals, what that's going to look like along the way, as well as follow some of these other tips that I have that are only going to help serve you in achieving those goals. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on number 1, which might be a little bit of a surprise to you, but it is that you want to keep the process goals at the heart. So a process goal is very different than the performance goal, which is kind of your big goal that you are going towards. So a performance goal would be something like getting a specific time in a race. So for me last year, it was getting a 3:35 at CIM. That was a performance goal that I wanted to achieve. This year, I have a goal for YouTube, for example, and I want to get to 5,000 subscribers. That is a performance goal that I am trying to reach. But you can't just have a performance goal and say you want to achieve that and not have any sort of system or framework or process along the way. And this is where those process goals come in. So process goals, think of them like little incremental goals, things that you say you are going to do that you know by doing them are going to allow you to achieve that performance goal or at least get you much closer, right? So examples of these in running could be running 40 miles per week at the beginning of a marathon training cycle and working up safely to 60 miles per week. Another one might be running at least 75% of your mileage at an easy pace. Another one might be making sure that you are running one quality or speed session per week. So those are examples that I would have for myself. Yours can be different. You just want to make sure that whatever your process goals are, you're actually really considering them and taking time thinking to yourself, are these process goals something that are going to allow me to achieve that performance goal that I want, again, or getting closer to it? Another reason that this is so important is because a lot of times we set these performance goals for ourselves with these particular times, and you may not get there. I mean, that's just the truth of it. And especially if you are making goals that are lofty enough, it's very possible you might not achieve it that first time around. And then you might feel like a complete failure if you didn't consider all of these process goals along the way. Whereas instead, when you take time to reflect afterwards, you can see, okay, well, maybe I didn't get my performance goal this time, but look at, I did that one quality session per week, just like I said I was going to. I know I'm that much stronger of a runner than I was at the beginning of this training block, and I'm so excited about where I'm headed. So it just takes that complete failure out of it and knowing that you actually were very successful in what you wanted to achieve. So Jim Rohn, who is a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, he said, if you go to work on your goals will go to work on you. If you go to work on your plan will go to work on you. Whatever good things we build end up building us. So just saying, this is a entire process, guys. We know that running is a long game, so you want to consider the entire process, system, framework that's getting you to those performance goals. All right, number 2, you want to make sure that you are backing your goals with a why. So especially that big performance goal that you have, why are you doing this? Now, if it's a race that you've never done before, let's say it's a marathon and the training, I'm telling you, it's going to get tough. It's going to get challenging. It may be really, really exciting in the beginning. You may not think you need a why to keep going, but I promise you when the going gets tough, you're going to want to fall back on that why and your purpose for doing this. So setting a why or setting an intention for why you have this goal is going to make sure that it's something that's meaningful to you, you are passionate about it, and it's going to give you that intrinsic motivation to keep going. Now, if you can't really pinpoint a why for a particular goal that you have, then maybe that means you need to reassess what your goal is right now. That's exactly why this is the perfect time to think about 2022 and what you want those goals to be. Are they important to you? Is it something that you are willing to do anything, whatever it takes, when it gets hard. So an example of a why could be, maybe it has to do with something like setting a good example for your kids, or here's an exact example. Maybe it's, I want to prove to myself that I can do something I once thought impossible. So maybe when you were an early runner, you were like, I would never be able to run a marathon. And now you've run a half marathon, and you know that if you can run a mile, you can run a marathon, and you know that it is possible. So make sure you don't forget your why. Number 3 is extremely important, and I have definitely been guilty of not doing this in the past. So it's twofold, and that is that you want to make sure you are writing your goal down and you are telling someone. So the first part of that, writing it down, that provides clarity around what you want to achieve. So taking some time to actually write down what it is that you want, maybe that will give you an idea of how you want to reformulate it when you're writing it down. So keep reworking it until it's exactly what you want it to be. Or when you're reflecting on the past, does it make sense for what you think you can achieve? Or are you making it kind of a goal that you're able to strive to, that's not too easy? All of those things are really important. And then once you have it written down, keep it there, keep coming back to it, and you know that it is set and it's not just something that's going to fly out the window, right? So the second part of this is you want to tell someone, but you don't want to just tell anyone. You want to tell someone whose opinion you value. So I was reading a study from Runner's World, and it was stating how in this study, these people who were trying to achieve their goals were much more likely to achieve their goals if they told someone who they respected and they valued their opinion. So it can absolutely be a spouse, it could be someone, maybe a friend that you run with, or it could be a running coach. Any of those people would be someone's opinion you value, as opposed to just maybe telling some random stranger or even throwing it out on the internet. I think is just not the same. You need to actually tell someone you know and who is going to help keep you accountable. Because if you know someone else knows, you're going to keep coming back to that saying, well, I got to follow through because they already know, right? So that is a big part of getting you to achieve your goals. So number 4 is making sure that you are prioritizing your A races. So those performance goals, you only want to have 2 to 3 of them probably for the entire year. Now that doesn't mean that you can't race any other times between those A races, just that is what your specific training should be going towards. So a good example of this is a lot of runners who run a marathon might do something called a tune-up race, such as a half marathon, maybe several weeks out from actually running the marathon. And maybe you race it, but maybe you only run it doing marathon pace just so you can practice that. You don't want to get caught up in trying to get this specific time for your half marathon when it isn't your main A race performance goal that you're trying to go toward. And that could just sabotage the training that you're actually working towards with your marathon. So if you just keep the eye on the prize, thinking the marathon is my A race, that's the most important thing, and then you can make a plan for what you want to happen with your half marathon. So this is one of the many reasons it's good to have a coach, because a coach can help guide you on what B races, we're going to call them, you might want to do along the way to that main A race, and what you want your outcome to be that would make sense to put you on the right trajectory for achieving your A goal. So if you guys are interested in coaching, I have spots open for 2022 right now, as well as I am planning a group coaching program in the future. So if you check out my coaching page below, you can see what options are available. Feel free to reach out to me, and anyone who wants to schedule a free discovery call just to find out if I might be the right running coach for you, I would love to meet you and get to know more about what your running goals are. All right, so the last one, number 5, is to make sure that you are setting a goal outside of your comfort zone. Now, I know that I've been guilty of this in the past, even recently with CIM, which if you watched any of those videos, I really was just focused on wanting to have a great time out there. I wanted to negative split. I wanted to feel strong at the end of the race. Those were the most important to me. After already qualifying for Boston earlier in the year and having a runner who I was coaching that was going to be there, I really just wanted to focus on that and have a great time out there. But in the back of my mind, I did want to at least get a 3:35, and I would have loved to have PR, and I did say that in the video. And I did PR, which was awesome, but I only PR'd by 20 seconds, which almost makes me think that I kind of had a self-limiting belief there that I really don't think that I can do much under that. And so I'm just not really going to go for it. And so, yes, I PR'd, but then part of me looking back is thinking, well, I think I could get a sub 330. Maybe I could have gotten a sub 330 if I just would have really honed in on that and told people that and believed in myself that I could. And so it's really important for you to set these goals that maybe are out of your comfort zone or you think are just out of reach. Otherwise, if they're too easy and you're always meeting your goal, then you're not really getting the most out of yourself that you absolutely can. And so for me to really get the most out of myself, I'm saying to myself, I'm going to try for a 3:30 at the Boston Marathon. And that is a big goal for me, but you never know if you don't try, right? So I would encourage you to do the same. So I was watching a video by Ali Abdaal about goal setting. He is a productivity guru, just really someone I love watching on YouTube. He has a video, Easy Way to Achieve Your Goals. So he talks about in this video why it's so important to make sure that you have goals outside of your comfort zone. But the big part of that is that these goals do not have to be time bound. But having this pie in the sky goal for yourself, you don't have to set a time limit on it. And we do know that running is a long game. And a lot of times getting to those goals that you want to achieve take quite a bit longer than you might think. It takes a certain amount of time for your body to adapt to the training that you're allowing it to do. And you only want to do what is safe for your body. And so for those two things to make sure that they come together, it might take you longer than you think it's going to take you. So it's certainly fine, for example, me to have this 3:30 Boston Marathon goal this year. But if I don't meet it, which I want to, I'm going to work towards that. But I'm not just going to say, okay, it's out, like I'm never going to be able to do it, right? So you know that you keep getting stronger with each training block. And so then I will try again another time, right? So stop putting complete time limits on your goals. If it doesn't happen right away, it will happen later. Like I was just seeing someone who was announced like 4 years ago that they were going to get a Boston qualifying time, that someone laughed at her and said, you're never going to do that. And she hasn't done it yet and she's not letting it go. And I just know she's going to get there because she is so persistent and so strong in her conviction about being able to do this. And you can just tell she'll do whatever it takes. So there's a saying, be stubborn about your goals, be flexible about the methods. And part of that is knowing that it might take longer than you want it to. All right, guys, I really hope that was helpful for you in setting your running goals for 2022. Please drop your goals in the comments below. I want to hear what they are, and you can get used to writing them down and putting them out there and telling someone before you actually write them down for yourself, and tell that respected person that we know is so important for you achieving your goals. Thanks for being here today. Happy New Year, and I will catch you in the next video.